What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support, man. And if you're a brand new listener to the show, thanks so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on TikTok at March 4th Podcast. My YouTube is March 4th Pod. The links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description for this episode, folks. So that means if you made it here and your family somehow, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. I hope that everybody is doing well out there. We are closing in on Thanksgiving here in the States, so I hope that all of you who celebrate it have a very happy Turkey Day, whether you do a Friendsgiving, whether you moved away and you're going back home to see family and friends you don't get to see that much, whatever the case may be, celebrating where you're living. I just hope that everybody has a good time. I hope that everybody gets a chance to get some time off and reset. It's always good to recharge the batteries. We live in this go, go, go culture all the time. And at the end of the day, folks, we ain't robots. And that's kind of one of my lessons I've learned this year that I will be working on before the year's end and going into 2025, which is just to, take better care of myself, man. I stay in pretty decent shape physically, but when it comes to mentally and sleep and recharging, I've not done a good job of being disciplined about resting, and getting proper sleep and what is it, like your circadian rhythm, all that stuff. Mine is jacked up and it's my fault because I got nobody but me to take care of, you know what I mean? So I got no excuses. So that's one of my goals going into 2025 and to close out this year is just be more disciplined when it comes to, I stay pretty organized, I would say. Across the board, but just turning my energy and my efforts and my attention to things that deserve it, and working hard to just stay focused on this podcast and on being a good dude and being a good family member, being a good friend, and just being a good guy. That's what's important to me. So I do want to say thank you to everybody who checks out the podcast. 2024 has been the biggest year yet for March 4th, and that is a tribute. And, or I should say, rather, that's attributed. There you go, Mike. I had my coffee, so I'm a little blah, blah, blah. But that is something that I attribute to all of my close family and friends who check out the show, in addition to all the people like you out there who tell a friend to tell a friend, who like and subscribe so you can check out past episodes, people who leave a rating and a review on whatever streaming service they listen. People who interact with me on Instagram, all the amazing guests that I've had and continue to have on the podcast, from bands to business owners to friends and colleagues of mine. I feel very, very fortunate, man. So it's something that I can kind of hang my hat on, that the show has had its biggest year in 2024. 24 is one of my favorite numbers. It was my favorite number that I wore when I played basketball. So karmically, and I just think universe-wise, sometimes people are like, that stuff don't mean nothing. It's all BS, man. But I think there's something to say about the cosmos, and just if you put good out, you get good back eventually. And I love doing this podcast, and I love connecting with all the people that I get a chance to connect with. So to anybody who has done any of those things that I just mentioned, liking, subscribing, taking the time to tell a friend, all those things go a long way in helping the show grow, and it has. And I feel very grateful to be able to have a platform where we can talk about music, we can talk about mental health, we can talk about perseverance, marching forth. Those are all things that I'm doing in my own life, man. And those are all things that are important to me. So thank you so much to everybody who takes the time to check out the show and who continues to rock with me on the podcast, man. It truly, truly means a lot. And speaking of people who rock with the podcast, as I always say, man, I've been fortunate to have a lot of repeat guests on the podcast, so it always makes me feel good when people want to come back. And that's what this week's guests are. They're return guests. They are none other than Slingshot, an emo post-hardcore band out of Southern California. These guys are awesome, man. I first connected with Dylan. Gosh, it was going on. I think it might have been late 2020, early 2021, somewhere in there. I was in like the first year or year-ish of bringing back March 4th and doing it consistently. And he connected with me on Instagram. Shout out to Real Verse Productions, his production company. They do awesome work. But I really, really enjoy talking with these guys every time I talk to them. And it was cool to get them back on. And the timing worked out because their single Rorschach, their new single Rorschach, just came out, I think, on October 10th. And we talked about a week after that. They've been doing a lot of awesome shows. They signed to Cool Dog Records out in California. So they've just got a lot of really cool stuff going on. And so it was just, it was fun to catch up with these guys because I hadn't spoken with them for the pad since like last summer when the Dawn of Decline EP came out. I believe it was June the last time we were able to link up. So it was cool to get Dylan and Armand back on the pad. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Dylan and Armand of Slingshot. Here it is. Alrighty, fellas. Well, after I just ranted for like 15 minutes before I officially hit record on my computer, told you guys my life story about the last few weeks and sinus infections and whatnot. But all that to say, Dylan, Armand, thank you so much, man, for coming back on the show. It's great to catch up with you guys again, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having us back.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, it's been like I was telling you guys before the jump, genuinely, it's been really cool. Getting to know y'all from a distance. Obviously, we've never met in person, but just having you guys on this podcast and um, getting a chance to know you guys and just see the growth of all of the projects and the bands. We were just talking about Steven and Jeremy in the Temecula Valley Film Festival. Like I feel like I got a lot of love in California and I appreciate it. I hope you guys know you got that from me over here. But it's been really cool to see the growth of Slingshot. And as this is hitting people's ears, your latest single Rorschach is out. And as we're talking, you guys are just coming off of a few days removed from the single release party. And that looked like a lot of fun. And it's just been cool to see the band growing and seeing all these awesome shows that are going on. Because, like we were talking, the last time we caught up was last summer. So what's this been like, man? Just with all the awesome shows that you guys are doing and now putting out the latest single. It looks like it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's I mean, I've played in a lot of bands like all throughout like middle school, high school, and like this particular lineup has just been like the most fun group of people to play shows with. And we've done a couple tours and like a weekend warrior type thing. And yeah, just it's just been incredibly fun, like hanging out with everyone in the band, and also like being a part of like our local music community, getting to know other bands, and yeah, just it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a great time with this group. They were all of us as individuals. We all mesh really well, so it's and to have fun, but also like be able to combine ideas together. It works out really well.
Yeah, because I think the last time we talked, we were talking about it before the jump. It was right around when Dawn of Decline was coming out, and I think at that time, Armand, I don't think you had been in the band uh too long.
Yeah, no, I was definitely the little baby of the
Mhm.
group, and that was my first release with them.
Mhm.
So it was, and we've grown so much from that. It's so like crazy to think like when we wrote those songs, like it was like the songs we do now are just so much more collaborative
Mhm.
between all four of us.
Yeah.
And a lot of like half of that release, like most of us don't even care for it anymore,
Yeah.
like as far as like the actual songs and structures. But
Yeah, I think
They're
we only
so
play
good.
like two songs in our live set are from Dawn of Decline.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
for real?
I have to relearn relearn
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
them.
Just
same.
with like the growth of the band with the stuff that you guys are working on, it's just like not some of your favorites anymore, or not the ones that you like doing live as much anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All the newer stuff is just so much more fun to play and just better uh structures in general and
Yeah,
content and whatnot.
yeah. To jump on what Armand was saying, I think that like the newer stuff, it's not necessarily more technical, but there was just more thought put into like how each part transitions into another, and they're just more fun to play and just feel um I guess in a way like more challenging. But we also don't really write that like technical of songs.
It was cool listening to like just kind of hearing like the growth of the band over the years. Like even gosh, I'm thinking Dylan now, like not to sound like an old man, like, oh, we go so far back. But like I think it was like I think the first Slingshot episode we did, because we did shout out Real Verse Productions, everybody. Um that
Gee.
that was the first time that we talked, gosh, probably back in like was that like I think it was like early 2022. I think you had reached out maybe late
Yeah,
21, if my memory serves me right.
yeah, it was either like some point like late 2021. Yeah, maybe like the summer of 2021. Because I know like later that following year is when that's when I met Armand on like the Psycho Image tour, and then we did that episode with Chris and Joey.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, probably like since like 2021.
It's wild, man. And I remember around the first time like we were talking about Slingshot, that was back in when the Straw Man
Yeah.
right around that time that had come out, and that was really cool to see like the videos, and it's cool to like go back and see the evolution of, like you said, the lineup change and everything, and we can get into it and like where the band is now. But I think it is really cool to see that evolution of sound from like the Straw Man, days to Dawn of Decline, and then even listening to like 1:57 a.m.
Hmm.
When that came out, just what back in April, I think it was.
Hmm.
That artwork is sick too, by the way.
Oh,
And even listening to like, excuse me, even listening to like Sons of Yoren, if I'm saying that right, like I really loved like the kind of like slow, cool like guitar riff, kind of like it really kind of like I'm trying to think of the way I want to describe it, but it's like I love like intro riffs that kind of like take you on a trip, you know what I mean? And as I was listening to it, I was like, damn, this sounds a lot different from even like the Dawn to Decline stuff that they were doing last year. So bringing that all the way up to Rorschach, which just came out, man. It's been really dope to kind of listen to the evolution just as a fan of you guys. Like, what has that process been like, Armand, even since like you've been in the band and like you said, things being more like collaborative now with everybody being in the group and making the songs, because you can definitely hear I like the difference in the change in sound and the evolution in sound over like the last couple of years for sure.
Yeah, it's been a journey for sure. Like it's I feel like a big part of that helped produce like just us collaborating more was just that we were just getting together a lot more and just writing together in the same room rather than like Dylan and it still happens like Dylan will write like well I guess for like the Donna Klein like it was like Dylan wrote most of the songs on his own and then he would bring it to us and we would like add parts and change things here and there
mhm.
but it's been a lot more of like us getting together in the same room and then somebody will have like a riff or Dylan will usually have like a riff and then we'll go off from that and then just kind of just coast with whatever we like
Yeah.
or what we're feeling at the time. And
Yeah.
also trying to just think of like different, how we can be different too, like from things we've already written.
Mhm. And I think too with like the amount of time that we spent together, it's a lot easier for us to say or like express like how we feel about an idea, like if we like something or don't like something, or like conceive potential in something and but just need to like tweak it a little bit, like but I think that just goes with the whole collaboration thing, and us just meeting in a room and writing stuff, but just being more comfortable with each other versus like when we were writing the Dawn of Decline stuff, that was back in like December of 2022. Um, and yeah, it was like I would have fully written songs on guitar, and then we kind of that would just be the map that we'd go off of. But now it's more like I'll just come in with a riff, and then we'll expand on that, and then not meet up for a couple weeks, and then come back and be like, oh yeah, what was that one riff that we were working on? And then we'll just kind of pick up where we left off.
Yeah, it's very important to say when you don't like something, and I feel like
Yes.
we've all gotten good at that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Rorschach is again it's like a it's just like continued evolution. Um there's that high note in like the middle of the song too, man.
Hmm.
It's like it's cool. She were right. I've
Yeah.
not like that moment in that song, like it was a cool because she's got such a good voice. But I don't think on the previous ones, I'm trying to think back on y'all's previous releases. I'm like, I don't know that I've heard her get up like that high
Hmm.
before, and it was cool to hear her go to that range. You know what I mean? Because obviously, like the live shows, there's so much energy, and it's like they look like so much fun. Anytime I see you guys post stories and clips from the shows, and so when it came to that part in the song. I was like, damn. I was like, I don't think I've heard her get up there before. Like,
Hmm.
what was that moment like when she brought that to you guys? Because that was like as a listener, that was really cool because I hadn't heard that from her on the previous Slingshot stuff. And again, that's not to be dismissive of the previous songs because I enjoyed those too, but it was cool to know that she could do that if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah. I definitely think it's cool that like she's showcasing something new in one of the Slingshot songs. But I feel like uh during like a band practice like a long time ago, she's done something like that where she's like belted a note or something. So I feel like prior to working on Rorschach, we knew she was capable of doing that. And then um I think it wasn't until because like whenever we practice, we it's hard to like hear each other, let alone like the vocals. Um, so I think it wasn't until like we played that show or played that song live at a show, that I could hear the vocals with clarity and like hear her really belt that note. And I was like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, she's killing it. She was slaying that one. She really pushed herself with that, and I love that. And
Yeah.
especially because like I know we were saying like everything's a lot more collaborative, but when it comes to like lyrical content and like vocal flows, that's pretty much like 90% all of Shira.
Yeah.
And like there'll be things here and there that will, uh suggest or add, but that's all her, and
Yeah.
she's killing it.
Did
Yeah.
you guys hear that before? Like you mentioned, like Dylan, you'll have like a riff and then you guys will all meet up and if you don't see each other for a couple weeks. So as you guys were formulating that song, the first time you heard her do it for Rorschach, was it when you guys were all together, or did you hear it in like a demo track that you guys had emailed?
Uh, it would have been when we were like all together.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it was, I mean, it was probably during like a practice, because we kind of rushed writing or finishing writing that song in preparation for the California Screamin' tour, because we wanted to kind of like take that song on the road and like test it out and then come back, make a few tweaks, and then record it. Um, and yeah, so it probably would have been like one of the practices prior to the tour that like we really solidified the song, and like Shira really like solidified what she was gonna do vocally on it. Because I know that like on the tour, she just for that song had to pull her phone out for the lyrics because they were like freshly written lyrics
Yeah.
right before we left. Um, so yeah.
Well, it turned out awesome, man. And just to give some shout outs, obviously shout out to to low budget productions.
Mhm.
But
She.
the photography for the artwork, was it Crushed Oxys
Yeah,
on
Bianca.
Instagram?
Yeah.
And then J Creative at jcreative dot us did the artwork.
Mhm.
Um and then produced by Realverse. And then the listeners can't see it right now, but you're rocking the hoodie, but distributed by Cool Dog Records. So
Mhm.
that was everybody who took part in this. And then you guys did that sick single release party where I was seeing like all the dope stories of people going nuts with all the bands. But and I love the artwork too. The posters are like, I hope somebody's like saving all of these. I don't know how many physical copies there are, but I just think as you guys get older, those will be really cool to look back on because you guys that's one of the things I love about you guys too is it's like it's not just like the song, it's the live show, it's the community, the friends that you guys have in all these bands. Um and also like the artwork and like the presentation is really it's really sick. And I've had several artists on here like you guys who take a lot of pride not only in the music they make. I mean, you don't take yourself too seriously. You're having a fun time, but you care about the songs and the message and having a good stage presence. But it's cool to see everybody really putting the thought into the art. And I think I just kind of nerd out on that because like when I was a kid, and then I promise I'll get off my rant. But when I was a little dude, like drawing was my first love, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I know a lot of kids can relate to that, like doodling in notebooks and stuff. But I really love drawing, and as I've gotten older and going to shows with, just as a fan of music and being able to do this podcast, I really love it. So whenever I see like really dope posters, I'm like, that's so cool that people are like putting thought into it, whether they're making it trying to make it funny or trying to make it ironic or trying to put like Easter eggs in there, like things that they people will notice. And you guys always have really sick artwork, man. So anyway, that's a huge rant. So the actual question I'll ask was just how much fun was the single release party? Because as as this is hitting people's ears in November, it will have been in October, but we're still in October right now, and it was like 5 days ago.
Yeah. It was awesome. We had so that show is kind of more built around some friends of ours in some Northern California bands, Grad Night and another band called Half Calf. Uh, they're they hit us up to like help them plan a show for a tour that they were doing. Um, so we were thinking like, oh well, we have this song that we're in the middle of like wrapping up and trying to figure out when we want to put it out. So things just kind of lined up to where like, oh, we should do that show as the single release party, um, to like hopefully incentivize more people to come out and check out the out of town bands. Um, and yeah, it was awesome. Like saw a lot of people. It was awesome to see Grad Night and Half Calf, considering they're like 6 to 8 hours away from us. And that was like our second time like uh, playing with them or this year. I think we played with each band twice on the California tour. So,
Yeah.
but um, yeah, so to see them again was really cool, and then to have like the local bands that we're friends with, like Glorbo and Grunkle, be there too.
I think it was our first time seeing Grunkle again since the tour too, right?
Yes, or I had gone out to one of their shows, but that was the first time that we've played with them since the tour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
great to see
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. um, and then it was like a costume Halloween party, so it was really cool seeing, you know, everyone's costumes and people, you know, engaging with the event and whatnot.
Yeah, I think what looks cool, and I know we've talked about it on previous shows, um, even with like Split Image and Psycho Mantis and stuff, like it's cool that everybody is like rooting for each other. It's cool to see genuine friends and bands and like this community outside looking in that you guys have looks awesome. And again, just the cool content that y'all are putting out. And to see the band growing, to see the following growing. Um, for everybody listening, you guys also did a cool thing, the sesh, where people can watch that on YouTube. And you guys did 1:57 a.m. in Sons of Bjorn. Like, it's just I all the way around, man. Like, it's just I really appreciate people who, again, like take their art seriously and take their music seriously, but also like have a fun time. And this stage of your lives, like I know maybe like when you're in the moment, like it's like about the show and like, but as you guys come off of these runs that you do and these tours, like does it ever do you ever take a second to reflect and go, man, it is pretty sick that like at this time in our lives we have like this community of all these people that are playing these really cool shows and we're a part of that and everybody's rooting for each other because um it seems like just from covering music for as long as I have going back to when I was writing, like it's not always like that. And it just seems so cool to me that you guys have like a really positive community, it seems like.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's that's something I think about all the time. Just like uh, I mean, I basically like live on the Slingshot Instagram, so I'm like constantly, checking out what other bands are doing, like in our area, and like making sure I'm liking their stuff and checking out what they're putting out, and you know, uh, and then whenever I can, try to go out to a show every now and then. That's not a Slingshot show.
Yeah, it's everyone's. I feel like a lot of people do a lot more than people realize. Like I'm also seeing like a lot of like promoters like doing stuff like posting all the shows that are in the area or even like posting all the new songs from all kinds of different bands that have just come out. Like little things like that. It's like it goes a long way.
Yeah.
And then when we especially when we like travel to like other areas to play, like Sacramento, for example, and seeing like same kind of community up there too. It's it's, it's very inspiring.
Hmm.
Yeah, see that there is a lot of love, like, and it's okay to reach out. There's a lot of people that want to help.
Hmm.
Yeah, you guys stay busy, man. Even by the time this comes out, you've got more shows coming up. Um, just even looking through like the Instagram page and just seeing again all the sick posters and like all the shows that you guys have been doing, but you've got another run coming up. What is it like the last week of October? Is it like the 26th, if my memory serves me right around there, something
Oh,
like that?
yeah. So there's a Graveyard Fest, in San Bernardino. It's a 2-day festival. We're playing the second day, the 27th.
Is this the first time you guys are doing that one?
Yeah. I was
Mhm.
actually really surprised that they reached out to us. Um, but yeah, there's a bunch of bands on the lineup for both days where I'm like, oh, I know that band. Oh, I've been following that band for a while. Um, and then there's also like a band that we're playing with on the 27th, First Date. They're a band that we've played with twice now, maybe 3 times. Um, and they're awesome. Like super nice people, super sick band. Um,
They killed it last time we played with them.
yeah,
They
last
killed
time
it.
we played with them was at Hoopla Fest at Solaris, and they did a cover of Pink Pony Club. And people were like moshing to it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm manifesting that you guys have an awesome time, you know. By the time this comes out, we'll have some pictures and videos I'm sure from the show. And from looking at the flyer, yeah, costumes are encouraged at that one. Again, another sick show flyer, but yeah, it's awesome, man. And again, I know this is like a love fest, but I genuinely love what you guys are doing, and it's I feel really grateful. Like I get reflective sometimes, and like even just thinking about doing this show over the like the past 4.5 years now, when I started doing it consistently again during the pandemic, and like getting to connect with really good guys like you guys, and I see you showing love all the time too on March 4th, man, with Slingshot. Like every time I see that, it like warms my heart. I'm like, oh, Dylan, like it's just cool when you meet good people out here, man. So I appreciate the love that you guys send back my way too, man, because it's like, you know, you think about like the stuff that you leave behind, and like, you know, the moments that you get with people. So when you meet people who are like-minded creators and good people, it's like a really beautiful thing. Again, there's no question in there. It's just like a stream of consciousness through a sinus infection. But no, I genuinely appreciate what you guys are doing, man.
Thank you, likewise.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. It always you're helping us there, you know. You're giving us a little step to step on as well. So
Mm-hmm.
Well, before I let you guys go, and thank you again so much for taking the time on the show, man. As far as you know, kind of closing out the year, obviously, like you said, you've got Graveyard Fest. Um, so hopefully people listen to this, they were probably there once this comes out in November. Um, but anything that you guys can talk about as far as you know, looking towards the end of the year, like into November, December, or any other new music, and we don't have to like, you know, spill anything you don't want to spill yet. But are you guys kind of already sort of thinking about end of the year going into 2025?
Yes.
man, Dylan got the next 5 years planned out. Okay.
Yeah, let me get my notebooks out. No, yeah, I do plan ahead. So we do have like the rest of the year mapped out. Um, uh,
As well as going into the next one, yeah, we have
yeah, and if this is
things.
coming out in November, then I might as well. Well, then this will have already been announced. We're doing Slayfest 2024 at Solaris in Marietta. Um, we've let me pull up the lineup thing. Let's see. We got bands like uh from our area, and then also from a little bit like further out of like Southern California. Um, so we're playing with like the Garden, Miss Daisy, Ujat. There's this band called Patina that's on Cool Dog Records. They're from Stockton or Sacramento. So they're driving down for that. And then some other bands like Corpus, First Date, the Busted Uglies, Killjoy. Making sure I'm not missing anyone. Um, but yeah, that's going to be on December 13th, which is Friday the 13th. And we're also going to be partnering with a local charity called Project Touch that works with like helping the homeless community and stuff. So 15% of the ticket sales are going to be donated towards that organization.
Mhm. And
That's
lots
awesome.
of music on the way.
Yes, and then yeah,
We,
January we're gonna be cooking some stuff.
mhm.
That's
We
awesome, man.
just started writing a new one last night too, and it's tasty, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, I was listening to it this morning,
Yeah, that's it.
just making sure that it still sounded good.
We'll
Well,
change it the next time we jam.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's what's cool too about what you guys are doing is again just like the evolution of the band. Like there's a lot of different things in the blender which I like. You know, there's like emo elements, there's like post-hardcore elements, there's like cool like ambient moments. The high note from Shira, like there's a lot of really cool things going on. I feel like it's all different parts of like hardcore, emo, indie rock, alternative. Um, as far as the influence and even Armand yourself, you know, coming from like a metal background, you know, and your playing style and what you can do as well. I mean, how fun is it with Slingshot to be able to bring in what seems like a myriad of influences, like, you know, listening to the music and kind of the growth of the band, you know, with the different you know, the different styles that you guys have worked in over the last couple of years.
I love it, honestly. It's it's uh it's I feel like it's more fun to really just push yourself out of your comfort zone and also just try different things. Sometimes play slower, you know? And I feel like especially with this style of music where I'm not going at 200 beats per minute every second, I have a lot more opportunity to like dance around within the music and whatnot. And I feel like right underneath, like when it comes to like bass lines and like playing, like there's metal and then there's like funk that I really love. And so being able to try and implement that more of like funk and groove within all this is it's the best. Yeah.
And Dylan, for you, man, I feel like listening to especially the releases, you know, from the last time we talked to now, it feels like listening to it that you're kind of hitting a stride with like the guitar tones and stuff that you're using. And even like some of those intros and stuff. Like, am I correct on that? Do you feel like you're kind of like in a pocket right now with sort of the sounds that you're going for? Because it definitely I feel like again like if people were to listen to Straw Man and then listen to like this new stuff, they'd be like, oh my God, like there's it's a whole different sound, and I know a lot of that too is the rest of the band, right? And you
Mm.
guys and the you know the musical direction that you're going in, but I feel like there's threads of like a specific tone and kind of like what you're going for like over this last like year and a half of music that's been put out. Just as a listener, it seems like that's the case. Is that accurate? Like what's it been like
Um,
guitar playing?
it's all just YouTube tutorial videos. I'm just kidding. No, it's the tone is that's something that like I kind of dialed in like when we were doing the Dawn and Decline stuff with just like setting up the pedal board and like configuring the amp. Um, but as far as like writing riffs, I feel like there's um a specific like style um that I write in, or like that the way that like I pair chords or like pair notes and stuff that is like pretty like similar like all throughout like everything I work on. But like kind of like what we were talking about before with things being more collaborative and also being more open to like the thought of like my idea not being as great as I think it is. It then like I'll come in with a riff that I think Armand is going to be like, oh, that's sick, and I'll show it to him, and then he'll be like, it's not that good, and then I'll defend it for a little bit, and then accept defeat, and then when I go back home, I try to come up with something better. So in a way, it like pushes me to write outside of what would naturally just come to me. Um, and yeah, so whenever I show something to Armand and he says that it sounds cool, uh, it's a huge relief because then it's less work. I don't have to re-workshop something that I've already been jamming by myself for a couple weeks. Um, but I also really enjoy that challenge of um, like completely discarding something that I've been like practicing to show everyone else, and then coming back to like completely rewrite it or make up something brand new or whatever.
And it goes both ways. It's like there'll be times when we're like trying to write something, and like Annaleece and Dylan are like vibing with it, and they're like kind of going off, and I'm just like I'm just not really feeling it, or I'm just not like getting it. So then that at times like those, I just try to like, well, I need to take a step back,
Mm-hmm.
let them kind of do their thing, and then see where I can kind of slide in, and then from there on, like, all right, now it's coming together, and then
Mm-hmm.
see where the deep end will fit, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's yeah, we definitely don't have things down to like an exact science of like how we write or like piece things together. But but yeah, I think it all comes down to just like we're all like good friends with each other, and we all respect and appreciate each other's talents, and I think that all of us just want to, I guess, just impress each other with what we bring to the table. So now that we're more open with like what doesn't impress us, or like if we know that like something better can be written, um or there's a better idea out there, uh yeah, it definitely helps being able to like effectively communicate all that stuff and like not worry about like hurt feelings or anything.
I still cry every time though, but I just get over it.
Just as soon as we leave your garage.
Yeah, shout out Annalise too. I feel like I've left her out, not shown her love too. I know she's not on here. But yeah, she's sick too, man. And like, and it's cool to hear that it's collaborative, right? Because there's like a right and a wrong way to be like, I'm not vibing with that. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to like rip somebody's soul out. And I know that's probably tough in bands, right? Because again, everybody's got different influences or different things that inspire them, or different musical backgrounds or things that they find interesting. And then it's just kind of finding like you were saying, Armand, where's it all kind of come together. Um, but it's been fun to again listen and see it develop and grow and see the video content and the shows. It's been sick. And I guess just on that, as you guys have had this lineup together and have the shows under your belts now that you have collectively, what are some of your guys' favorites to play live, and what are the ones that you notice seem to get like a pretty rowdy reaction from people?
Ooh, well, recently, um, as I mentioned before, Hoopla Fest, just back in July, we played Rorschach, and this is before the song had even come out, and I think it was like right when like the first chorus hit, someone hopped up on the stage and did the first like slingshot stage dive, Um, Granted, they just dove into our friend Angel. Um, and but I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and Angel seemed to be cool about it afterwards. So
Yeah, he was a kid, so he was he was like pulling back, getting ready, but I was like, oh, just no, I'm just kidding.
yeah, it was more like a why I oughta.
But I feel like definitely Rorschach has gotten so much praise. Uh, that that one like almost like every show, I feel like everyone's like, yo, that one's fucking super sick. And especially it always gets pointed out, the high note that Cheyenne does,
Yep.
like that part, like it really like it it explodes really
Mhm.
well, and especially with how we decided to end that one
Oh
it
yeah.
just that one gets a lot of praise. As far as like favorites on playing, I definitely still got one,
Mhm.
and I feel like I want to throw 157 in there.
Yeah.
Like I love playing that song. It's and baseline wise, like I'm dancing a good amount, but also like for the end of 157, I actually pull back and do more of just a simple running bass line, but just with everything going on. And I feel like it just hits so well. And I just love playing that same note just just really fast for that little bit of time.
Well,
Yeah.
again, it's been like awesome to it's been awesome to see it, man. Like it's just it looks like you guys are having like so much fun, dude. And that's really what it's all about at the end of the day, like all the time and energy and effort you put into making music and putting out the artwork and doing all the live shows and loading in and loading out to get to experience it you know with other people who you're friends with, and then also to see people at the shows having a good time. And like you said, going up to Sacramento and seeing that they have like a cool collective as well and a good music scene, like that's what it's all about, man. And I'm excited for you guys. And it's always cool when people love the new one, right? Like that's got to make you feel good when it's like this is the new song that you release to everybody it's and it's getting a good pop at the live shows. That's I'm sure that's got to feel like not that you're making stuff to be validated, right? You're making the stuff that you love to like, but at the same time, it's awesome when people are vibing with it too.
Yeah, it
Oh
feels
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Because we like. I think I'm pretty sure. Uh, I mean, I don't want to speak for the whole band, but I'm pretty sure unanimously, Rorschach is like our favorite song that we've all like written. Um, so for other people to like the same thing we like is really cool and validating in that way.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah.
Because we put a lot of energy into this stuff, so to get the energy back,
Mhm.
it's you know it's a good feeling.
Oh yeah.
Well, just to put a button on this bad boy, and again, Armand and Dylan, thank you so much, you guys. It's good to catch up with you and like hear y'all's voices again, man. And again, I appreciate all the support from the band and from Real Verse from all of y'all with the podcast, man, because it's like that's why I do this. Like it's great to connect with other good people. Um as a band that's grinding and doing these shows and making the music that you love to make. Um you know, maybe what's like a piece of advice you'd give to like other creators out there, you know, as far as things that are working for y'all in your lineup or just aspects of whether it's live performance or, you know, booking the shows, like, you know, you guys are really hitting the pavement and doing these shows. So I'm curious to know if there's anything out there that maybe you'd want to share for some of these newer bands. Especially, I just feel like these last couple of years, you know, it's kind of weird to say, but it's like COVID was so gnarly and messed up, and some venues never came back. There are some bands that came out of the pandemic that didn't play live, you know what I mean? And but just released music digitally. So I think we're kind of in this cool time and where there's whether it's local music scene wherever people are listening to this, big national tours that are going on right now. I feel like I feel like every music genre right now, but especially like rock and metal, pop
Mhm.
punk, alternative, whether it's like Sick New World, When We Were Young, like
Oh,
um
they just announced Vans Warped Tour is coming back. They announced that
Hmm.
today.
yeah, like it's like all this like there's definitely I feel like I don't know if revival is the right word because I don't know that it ever quote unquote went away, but I think stuff was just so dark and weird for so long, and now we're kind of I feel like hitting that stride again where there's all these really cool shows happening, all from a local level or a regional level all the way up to like these big international and national tours. So
Mhm.
long way of me saying it. I know I'm very long-winded. Um, but as a band that's doing it, man, what advice would you guys give as far as stuff that works for you for maybe bands that aren't as seasoned when it comes to the live shows?
I mean, as an individual, I would say that it's very important to not give up, but it's also very important to know your limit and to not overwhelm yourself. Because I feel like that's one of my biggest problems is overwhelming myself with um different projects. Because I've been a part of all sorts of like music things and I love all of them, but then it gets to the time where you're just tiring yourself out and you're not giving yourself enough time to actually live and be apart from that, you know. So I think that's very important. But also just to be honest with others and be honest with yourself and find a good team of people you enjoy and don't forget to have fun.
Mhm. Yeah, and to just sort of comment on what Armand said, like I think something that we've realized is that like sometimes it's good to like miss your own band, you know, uh there'll be times where like, we'll be going hard playing, like coming off of doing like a tour and then have some other shows like surrounding that after, and then on top of that like trying to work doing recording sessions in between all that. And then obviously we all have like personal lives and work jobs and stuff. So sometimes when we have like a break where we're not able to like practice or don't play any shows for a month or something like that, it uh I feel like maybe just for me personally, it gives enough time for me to like um really miss like that being around that group of friends and like playing these songs and all that stuff, because I feel like if we were a band that practiced 3 days a week and played shows every weekend, we would definitely tire ourselves out, um, and exhaust ourselves socially amongst each other, much faster.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like also like on the other side of that, I feel like it's a double-edged sword because like especially I guess this is more so when it comes to people who have like found like great success with record deals, they need to,
Mhm.
all that because they're like making out an album like releasing something like every year. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like at that point it's a job. Like
yeah,
they're in there fucking jamming fucking 8 hours a day and all
yeah, yeah.
stuff. So it's like
Yeah, I mean, if we could, like, if I didn't have to go work,
yeah, yeah, there you go. So
a
that
job for,
exactly.
yeah, then yeah, we'd be a band that practices 2 days a week.
That's the goal.
Yeah, yeah. Right now we're like we practice once right before a show.
But we're
Um,
getting better. We're getting it's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
we're
been busy season. It's holidays.
yeah, yeah. But things are starting to slow down a little bit. Um, yeah, but yeah, and to answer your question on advice, I definitely agree with Armand. Never give up. But to bring something new, um, uh, oh, if you are a band going on a tour, um, no matter where you're staying, take everything out of the van and put it in your hotel room or wherever you're sleeping. Um, yeah, uh, 'cause we had our stuff broken into and stolen. But um, but even with that, uh, like I think this might also be a good piece of advice, like going with that story of like when that thing happened with our van getting broken into, none of us got like mad at each other or like we all were like very supportive of like um
We fell together and we got back up together.
yeah. um and I feel like um I think sometimes it's important when like shit hits the fan, for like bands to acknowledge that like yes, what's happening sucks and is very real, but if everyone kind of pulls together, it can be a really like beautiful unifying moment for everyone that like strengthens relationships and stuff. Um, because like prior to the last tour we did, I probably couldn't cry in front of Armand. Um, but now I feel like I could cry in front of Armand.
I'll still make fun of them. I'm just kidding. No, but definitely, going through that. It was we all saw a much more emotional side of everybody. So
Mhm.
it's I know it was hard, but we got through it together.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I guess to summarize the that piece of advice is like just always remember that you're with your buddies and have like a good sense of humor about things like because even when like the van got broken into, like 5-10 minutes after, we were cracking jokes about it.
Yeah, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh.
Yeah. um Even though in the back of our heads we were like super stressed and you know looking at pawn shops and stuff like that to see where our stuff could have possibly been taken and all that. And then Armand had to deal with like the insurance and um, filing the police report and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
which they just barely like getting back to me about, which is funny.
oh
It's
wait,
just
really?
literally, yeah, just like the other day.
That is crazy.
Hmm.
Did they just say
They're,
whose number
they
is this?
I was like, hey, aren't you Slingshot?
Yeah.
Didn't your van get broken into? It's being taken care of though, so it's good.
Oh, cool.
It wasn't bad news.
Okay, cool, cool.
I'm sorry y'all went through that, man. Like that's unfortunately I've like just with all the artists that I follow, I've seen unfortunately either that happen or something happens with the van, and people gotta like cancel a gig. But
Mhm.
no, that's like that's a violation, when somebody takes like your stuff and you're trying to play shows and play tours. And I don't think the average person realizes too, like the money that it costs to go on the road, with gas and food, staying somewhere.
Mhm.
um it's an undertaking for something that you love to do,
Yeah, it's
and
a
so I'm
huge investment with like no return.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine, man. Yeah, and I genuinely, man, I'm sorry you guys went through that. Because I've seen from a distance like other bands who have unfortunately had those experiences, man. But I'm glad that you guys, like you said, you pulled together. You leaned on each other. You didn't. point fingers. Why didn't you do? Like it's like because at that point, like right, like the worst thing that's happened has already happened, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to like you know you don't want to say something or do something that later on you're going to be like, damn, like I let the negative emotions of something that somebody outside our group affect us internally. So I'm glad that you guys pulled together, and I'm sorry you went through that, man.
No, uh in
It's an
hindsight,
experience.
it's a rite of passage. It's something that happens to band, and I feel like we got off very easy because, like, yeah, the window was shattered and my guitar got stolen and Armand's bass and bass amp head and my camera bag got stolen, but thank God the person was on foot, because if they had a car, they could have gotten a whole drum set. They could have gotten our amps. There's a pair of someone's Doc Martens that were just chilling there that they could have taken. And then like our like merch box was in there, like, and we've seen other bands have get like their entire van with all their stuff in it like stolen. So I feel like in comparison we got off pretty easy. And we were able to locate my guitar at a guitar center the next city over. Um, the guy sold it for $70. And fortunately, Guitar Center was nice enough to just let us have it after we like verified the serial number. But yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's wild. It's like I don't know. There's so many good people in the world, but there's unfortunately a lot of jerks too, man. And a lot of people on hard times that don't
Mm.
think about, like, you know, hey, I need something, right? So I'm gonna just take it from somebody else. You know what I mean? And it's like I think about that too, like the what life circumstances leads people to certain places to do things like that, to like, um but suffice to say, I'm glad it all worked out. You guys got a kick-ass new single. Everybody go listen to Rorschach, and we gotta make sure that we don't have another 18-month gap, man. And I know we stay in touch on socials,
Mhm.
Dylan, and with Slingshot, and but same with you, Armand. The whole band. Like again, I'm really excited for you guys, genuinely, and I'm glad we were finally able to make it happen. And again, like I said, I'm sorry, Dylan, if it seemed like I was putting the screws to you on scheduling, but
Oh
I
no, no, you're
know
all
we
good.
had sent some messages over the last couple of months, and then when I saw you guys had a new single out, and I knew I was gonna get ready to be out of town. I'm like, man, it'd be cool if we could try to get something before then, and then I can put it out and still have it be like right on the heels of the single coming out, and it works out cool because you guys got another awesome lineup, another show that'll be coming out after this that people can get ready for. But well, dudes, I don't want to rant anymore other than say thank you. It's been awesome to catch up, man. And again, I genuinely appreciate all the love from you guys too. I really mean that. I feel very fortunate to be able to do these shows, and I'm doing it because I love to do it, and that's why I think I relate so much to musicians, and why I have so many musicians on the show, because I just like I love music, and just I appreciate the hustle and the grind, but also just like putting out stuff that you love, that you're proud of, because
Mhm.
our time here is limited, man. So if you're a creator, create. But I'll put it in the podcast description for everybody listening. But for folks aren't aware, man, Armand, Dylan, let them know where they can find you, man.
You can find Slingshot on Instagram, and TikTok, even though it's been a while,
What's the handle?
at slingshot.band.
All Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Dylan and Armand of Slingshot. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram at slingshot.band. The links to all of their stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support Slingshot, especially if you're into emo and post-hardcore and alternative and indie rock, man. You will love these guys. They've got a show coming up on November 29th in San Diego, California at Humble Heart. It is presented by Dylan's Real Verse Productions. They will be playing with the Renters, Dead Martyr, Split Image, friends of the show, shout out, as well as Grunkle. Got to get those guys on too, man. But once again, that will be at Humble Heart in San Diego, California on November 29th, presented by Dylan's Real Verse Productions. So if you're in Cali or you want to take a little road trip, check that out, especially if you got a long weekend, because that will be Thanksgiving weekend if my mind serves me well. But yeah, man, I just want to say directly to Dylan and Armand, guys, it was so great getting a chance to talk to you. And the conversation you guys heard was only like one half of it. We kept going and just were shooting the breeze and talking after that as well for a while. And it's just great to catch up with those guys, even though we've never met in person. I consider these guys friends. Again, like I said, they've been on the show multiple times over the years. Shout out to everybody in Slingshot, man. And it was just awesome to reconnect because, like I said, it's been a year since Dawn of Decline came out, a year plus since we talked because that was last summer, and it's been cool from a distance. Like I said at the jump, to see them continue to play awesome shows with their friends and fellow bandmates out in California and the surrounding areas. The tours that they've been able to do, the shows they've been able to put on, collective of bands out there, including Split Image. Again, shout out to those guys; they're awesome as well. And signing with Cool Dog, like it's just there's a lot of awesome stuff happening, and they're really great people. So I always enjoy talking with them. So thank you so much, Dylan and Armand, for catching up and shooting the breeze. And I hope you and yours have a very happy holiday season, man. And I hope the show on the 29th is a banger and goes off well. So once again, everybody, go follow these guys on Instagram at slingshot.band. If you don't have Instagram, I will have the links to other places where you can find their music out there on the interwebs in the podcast description. And once again, if you enjoyed what you heard, and this is your first time listening, if Slingshot brought you here, once again, welcome aboard the pirate ship. But you can follow me on March 4th Pod on Instagram. I am also on March 4th Pod on YouTube, March 4th Podcast on TikTok. The links to all my stuff are in the podcast description as well. So if you want to give me a shout, if you liked what you heard, please leave a rating and review on whatever streaming service you're listening on. Tell a friend to tell a friend, like and subscribe, because I get a chance to do 3 of these bad boys per month. On Tuesdays, I release the episodes. So if you're interested, check out the past episodes, like and subscribe. You can find them wherever you get your music and podcasts on the interwebs. So that is going to be a wrap on this week's show. Once again, everybody, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it for 2024 to be the biggest year of the pod yet. Again, it's a testament to everybody out there who rocks with me, who enjoys these conversations that involve music, mental health, perseverance, overcoming, chasing your dreams, marching forth, all those things, man. I feel really grateful to have a platform just as a regular dude out here who loves music. Used to do music feature writing back in the day, and then this podcast was birthed out of that many moons ago, initially as Bauman's Breakdown, and getting a chance to relocate to the Music City and just be in kind of like one of the epicenters of the world of music here in Nashville has been awesome, and doing this podcast has been awesome. And I'm really looking forward to closing out the year on a positive note. We've got some fun ones on deck, so stay tuned. And we've got some great stuff going into 2025. So on that note, I'm going to say what I always say to wrap up every episode: keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourselves. Courtesy of Slingshot, here is their latest single, Rorschach. Peace.